Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans, I'm Keith One Shot, and today I'm going to do a quick little review on the Flash and Speed Buggy. Yeah, that's right, you heard me right, the Flash and Speed Buggy. This is a fun little crossover event that DC Comics does once a year or so, and they do Hanna-Barbera characters and Looney Tune characters and DC characters, and they kind of do a little collaborative story. It's a fun little thing that sets outside of continuity, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in this book that I'm sure is not in continuity in canon, as you're going to see a few characters and situations that I don't see in canon happening yet, and they kind of happen out of nowhere. Either way, we see the Flash, Wally West, battling a sentient building. It's a skyscraper building that's a part of Star Labs, and they don't exactly say how it all started, but the building eventually turns into this big, huge dragon made of metal and all the parts of the building, and it's fighting Wally West Flash, and the building is actually being controlled by technology through Kilgore, and Wally deals with him there for a little bit, and then out of nowhere suddenly we see a hole open up inside of the Speed Force, and Speed Buggy comes flying out through, and he helps Wally West. The two of them get in the car together. Wally kind of asks, what the heck's going on here? And the Speed Buggy is being driven by Dr. Blank, who is the inventor of Speed Buggy and many other things that we will find out soon. The two talk a little bit, and then Speed Buggy drives through the Speed Force again, pops out on the other side, inside of Star Labs, where there's fiber optics, which is powering, it's a technology that Kilgore is using to power all the technology here. So Wally West Flash unplugs all the technology, and then they wonder if Kilgore shouldn't be operational anymore because the technology is down in this area. Then Wally and Speed Buggy zoop through the Speed Force, and Wally grabs Dr. Blank out of the car, and he asks him for a little explaining. Dr. Blank tells him that he invented the technology that allowed the car to travel in through the Speed Force and out of the Speed Force, and utilize the Speed Force to travel faster and to travel through these little pockets. He then tells Wally that he was actually one of the original founders of Star Labs, and he takes Wally to his lab where he shows him a few of his inventions, and Wally says that even he's actually heard of him. Then Wally tells Dr. Blank the difficulties and the delicate nature of humans or anyone entering the Speed Force or trying to control or utilize the Speed Force in that nature, and he said that most of the people who were able to do it over the years, it happened organically, and he said that it's a very delicate balance, and Dr. Blank says that he just wants to do a few test runs on Speed Buggy, and that's why he actually wants the Flash to help him out with it, so it can go through a little safer, since the Flash is the Flash and deals with the Speed Force all the time. Okay, and actually in this picture it's really cool because we see like an image of a lot of characters here from the Flash lore. I mean, you got like New 52, Reverse Flash, you got Daniel West, you got Godspeed, you got Barry Allen, you got Impulse, you got Jesse Quick, you got Wally West #2 Kid Flash, I believe Cobalt Blue, and that's maybe Bartholomew Allen. I don't exactly sure looking at it very closely, but there's a few guys who aren't in DC Rebirth yet in this scene. Okay, on the next scene we go and we actually see Wally West talking to Linda Park, and the two of them are talking as if they're in a relationship right now. And as you're reading Flash and if you're reading Titans, this hasn't actually happened yet. Wally West and Linda Park aren't together. Linda kind of has a problem with, and she's freaked out with the whole time being removed and how Wally kind of appeared and he was trapped in the Time Force and or Speed Force, and nobody remembered him, and then she remembered him when he came back, but she's freaked out about it. So either way, they're not actually in a relationship, but in this comic book, they're talking as if they are in a relationship. And Linda Park says, no matter what variant time stream they may be in, one of the things that's always true is her love and belief in Wally. And so I think that's a little bit of a foreshadowing. They might have actually not known at all where we are in Rebirth timeline, or they might have assumed that that's where they are, or that might be where things are going. But either way, maybe they just did it for this story's sake, but Wally and Linda Park seem to be together as they talked about the issue with Dr. Blank and the test run that he wants Wally to take part with. We then go to a garage where we see a mechanic working on an old style car, and then we see a young girl. Well, she's not young, but she's in her 20s or 30s or so, and she's working on the car. She seems to be like the racer of the car or something like that, and she talks about her dad and how she hasn't seen her dad in over 10 years and how he cares more about her projects, his projects, than he does about her. And actually that ends up being Dr. Blank's daughter, and he was gonna talk to her as he walked up to the garage, but he overheard the conversation, so he left, and then he went back to his lab to work on his projects, and even tells himself that this is his home now, and his experiments are his children. But then he even tells himself that if he tells himself that enough times, he'll actually believe it too, because he doesn't believe it. So we then go to the next morning where Dr. Blank meets up with Wally West, and the two of them are going to do the speed buggy race test through the Speed Force. So they agree to race each other once around the world and to try to get through the Speed Force and activate the systems of the car as they're running. Sure enough, we get a fawoosh and we open up the Speed Force, but unfortunately something happens while they're driving through the Speed Force that we don't know about yet, and the car and Wally Flash go flying and hurtling through the Speed Force, and they kind of bounce out, and everything looks to be destroyed, almost if we're in this dystopian future or something like that along those lines. We see Wally West crashing, but we don't see Dr. Blank or Speed Buggy anywhere, and then a few minutes later, we see a hole open up in the Speed Force, and out comes Speed Buggy, but Dr. Blank isn't there. Wally's a little bit confused because it looks like Speed Buggy is going to attack Wally. Wally then realizes that it's not a horn that he's hearing, it's actually a voice. And then he realizes that Dr. Blank must have been fused with Speed Buggy during the hurdle through the Speed Force when that accident happened and before they popped out through here. So the two are now one, and his consciousness is still like, it's in a rage right now. He doesn't the doctor doesn't have control of himself right now, and so the car is just wildly attacking Wally, and he's running away from the car, and then eventually Wally, to try to jumpstart the car or the doctor's consciousness in the car, he throws or steers the car towards a wall, and the car crashes, and then we see the Speed Buggy with his mouth open, because the Speed Buggy has facial expressions on it. It's pretty cool. It's funny. I don't know if you remember that from Hanna-Barbera back in the day. But then suddenly we see who the real threat was here and what caused them to hurtle through time and crash to begin with, and that is Savatar. Savatar, again, we haven't seen in DC Rebirth yet, but sure enough, this is him. This isn't the future Flash, Barry Allen for the TV show. This is comic book Savatar, and he has two friends with him. Apparently, these two friends are evil Speed Force Speed Buggy cars, and their names are Speed Demon Buggy and, of course, Reverse Speed Buggy, because, you know, those are now in canon, guys. Those are two new Speedsters, Demon Speed Buggy and Reverse Speed Buggy, so remember those for your Flash history test later on down the road. Okay, so Savatar tells him that he caused this because he wanted to create this alternate future that he could rule and raise, and that he studied all the doctor's papers and history reports in the future, so he knows all about the doctor's research, and he knew that even him and Wally were going to do this experiment today, and they were going to go in the Speed Force. So Savatar saw this as an opportunity, apparently, to run back just at that moment, and before they did the test, and he pulled out some wires and messed with the Speed Buggy racer in such a way that when they came into the Speed Force, it would cause this accident or something, and somehow Savatar was able to use that to quickly create this evil future, or something happened, and then he went into his future, and Savatar did, and he saw, that's where he found Speed Demon Buggy had now existed, because Speed Buggy went into the Speed Force, and that caused a ripple effect that changed things immediately in Savatar's future. And then Savatar came back here so he could rule this time, which is, they don't fully explain it. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you, and the writing isn't super well done, not to disparage anyone. But yeah, so that happens, and then Savatar sends Reverse Speed Buggy back in time because he wants to destroy Dr. Blank's lab before any of the stuff is created, so it can create a paradox of sorts, sealing this alternative future present that Savatar created oddly, so he can rule that. So he sends the Reverse Speed Buggy back in time, and gonna do some kind of Reverse Speed Buggy Flashpoint thing. And then Speed Buggy says he's going to chase Reverse Speed Buggy and not allow that. And then Wally West Flash actually tells him, no man, if you go back in time, you're trapped there. And that means you're going to be Speed Buggy. And then the doctor tells him, well, you know, I kind of put myself into this situation on my own, and I got to deal with that, but I got to go back and stop him. So he goes back and Speed Buggy travels back in time to follow the Reverse Speed Buggy. Meanwhile, Wally West Flash battles Savatar in a nice little fight, and, you know, I mean, it's on one panel. It's pretty cool looking, and then they keep fighting, and then we see back in time the Reverse Speed Buggy actually goes to Dr. Blank's lab, and he's gonna go destroy it and destroy all the research and stuff. But Speed Buggy's already there waiting for him, and he zooms by quickly and pulls out his caliper. Yeah, he goes his cowboy. Yeah, it's right there. Either way, he pulls out some of his parts. Reverse Speed Buggy falls right down to the ground, and then, sure enough, we see in the alternate future thing that Savatar created, whatever that is, he starts fading away mid-fight with Wally because he's returning to the Speed Force and back to his time because this paradox no longer exists. And then suddenly, Wally's returned, like, instantly to his present. I don't know. It doesn't really explain fully whether there's actually an alternate time future or what happened here. But Savatar goes back to his future, to the Speed Force or wherever, because he's not in DC Rebirth. And then we see Wally back at Star Labs, and he mentions how the Doctor might be gone and trapped forever, and Savatar disappeared, and even the reverse Speed Buggy is fading away because it doesn't exist. We then go X amount of time later, where we see Speed Buggy actually parked out front of the garage, which is Dr. Blank's daughter's garage, and the mechanic finds the Speed Buggy and he parks him in there, and then the daughter's like, "Oh, nice new car, what's this? It looks really great." And the mechanic's like, "Yeah, no, I cooked it up overnight myself, it's something I've been working on," because he's just trying to take credit for it because they love it. And sure enough, it's Speed Buggy. And then the daughter's like, "Oh, well, this car looks great, it could be a member of the family." And Speed Buggy smiles, you know. And then we go on to the next page, and we see Wally West running with Linda Park in some athletic gear, and Linda and them are talking about the Speed Buggy situation and Dr. Blank, and Wally tells Linda how he's got to slow down and enjoy the moment once in a while, and that even a Flash needs to take a breath here and there, and that he wants to appreciate what he has, and mostly Linda Park. Which, again, like I said, that's not the case yet in DC Rebirth. Either way, we then go to an epilogue where we see Wally West #2, Kid Flash, Barry Allen Flash, but he's wearing his new 52 suit. We see Wally West Flash in his Rebirth suit with Linda Park, and we see Bartholomew Allen, which is the new 52 Kid Flash. Before they invented Wally West #2, they had Bartholomew Allen, who's essentially the new 52 Bart Allen, and he's from an alternate future. I'm not going to get into Bartholomew Allen, but he doesn't exist in DC Rebirth, and here he is right here, and he's a new 52 character. Maybe the artist just liked him because it's a fun book. Either way, they're talking about, "Oh, I didn't know you knew Speed Buggy, Wally, that's cool," and they're having a fun time. It's just a fun little epilogue where we get to see a lot of characters like the Titans and Bumblebee, Donna Troy, Nightwing, you know, Aqua Lad, who's Tempest now, and Bartholomew Allen a bunch of times. And we get to actually see a bunch of Hanna-Barbera characters too, like even Space Ghost is right there. Yeah, Captain Atom. We see a whole bunch of people. It's pretty cool. Bartholomew Allen's in there a bunch of times. And then Speed Buggy and Wally Flash agree to race, and the daughter actually waves the race flag up in the air, and the two race around the world. And yeah, that's the story. That is the end of the story, but the beginning of a beautiful friendship between Wally West Flash and Speed Buggy. That's the story. I'm Keith One Shot. Let me know what you think of this story in the comment section. Take care. Have a great day. Make sure to watch other videos on the channel because we have a lot of great dramatic readings and Flash videos and all sorts of content here for you to enjoy. Like and subscribe. Have a great day and goodbye.